Hi there. Welcome to Craft with Kathie.
I have a somewhat interesting project tonight, and I am going to be using ink instead of chalk paste, so it's a little bit different. And I'm going to be using this little transfer that says Dear Santa, Define Naughty. I think it just begs to be used on top of a onesie. And I have this little 3 to 6 month onesie that I'm going to do it on. There's a couple things that are a little bit different with ink, and I'll go over them than with chalking. But really, don't be afraid of inking. It's actually a lot of fun. And we actually have some very new transfers that are perfect. They just beg to be used on t-shirts. And I'll be demoing them in probably the weeks after the holiday. But they're really, really cute, a little snarky, I mean, absolutely perfect. So for tonight, I'm going to do this on this little onesie. Kind of give you a general idea of how it'll be positioned. I think it'll be cute here. This is the 3 to 6 month old, but I think it would work on larger sizes too. There's nothing wrong with that. And generally, I put an ink mat behind something that I'm inking to make sure that the ink doesn't go through the transfer through the first layer and then onto the back layer of the shirt. For this, I'm going to actually just use this little piece of cardboard, or I could actually cut apart my my ink mat, but I don't think I want to cut apart my ink mat for that. So I'm going to put this in right now. And you could use basically anything you want, just something to act as a barrier between the first layer of the piece of clothing and the second. Obviously, if you don't have, if it's not a shirt or something, you don't have to worry about putting something in as a barrier between the top layer and the back. But this is just to make sure that the ink doesn't go through and hit the back and create an image on the back where we do not want it. I need to move that up just a teeny little bit. You could use cardboard. I like our ink mats. Our ink mats are adhesive backed, which is nice because then you could press them to the shirt and get a nice, things don't move around. It takes out the wrinkles, whatever. So I really prefer that, but I would have to cut my mat, and I have more than one mat, and I have cut one up in the past. But with my craft room the way it is, who knows where anything is. Let me straighten out my lighting here, see if that helps a little bit. I'm coming at you from the suburbs west of Chicago. Drop me a line, let me know where you're viewing from. I'm going to actually put the other light on just to make things a little bit better. I didn't think I needed it, but I think it looks a little dark. So I have my little piece of cardboard in here that's a little barrier, and then I have this transfer. Now, because I'm going on fabric, I do not need to fuzz it. No need to lessen the adhesiveness because I actually want it to stick very, very snugly here. So I get a nice attachment, and my ink only goes where I want it to. And yes, I'm using ink instead of paste. If you want to do a design on something and you want it to be permanent, use our ink. All you have to do, it gets applied very similarly to paste, but you have to heat set it. And once it is heat set, it is permanent. And you can heat set it with a regular iron. You can heat set it with a heat press. It really depends on what you have available and what you want to do. Whatever you want to do, you want to follow the instructions, the heat instructions for the fabric that it is. So check and see what your fabric is, and use the appropriate settings for that. I have a whole nother video that talks about heat setting on fabric, so I'll put the link below, so if you want to check that out. Anyway, so I'm going to do red, and I can't do white for the fur trim, and I kind of toss this around a little bit. I think I'm going to go with our teal. I know it's a little different, but being that I'm on a white background, the white's not going to show up, right? And I'm thinking, do the letters in green, or should I do the letters maybe Dear Santa, Define, and Naughty in green? What do you think? What are your thoughts on that? What would you do? So, I've previously opened up my inks and checked them because it's been a while since I've used some of them. I'm going to start out with the red. Now, the one thing you want to be careful of with your inks is always do a hand check. Make sure you have no ink on your fingers from opening up the cap or stirring or whatever else, because ink is permanent. So if you get it somewhere where you don't want to, for example, if you're trying to lift this transfer, it's permanent. You're going to have to make a smudge or whatever, a happy accident. So I'm grabbing a little red here. And you know what? I'm going to turn this towards me. I like moving the squeegee towards me, and I'm just going to go over it nice and gently. Now this is fabric, and when the ink blends with the fabric, it'll soak into the fabric, and then when you heat set it becomes permanent. It's not like putting vinyl on a shirt, and you know how sometimes after you wear it a couple times or dry it or whatever else, it gets crinkly and it starts flaking off. Our ink's not like that. Our ink is permanent. Give it a second to actually soak into the fibers, but once it's there, it's there. And I like going over it a second time. Just nice and gently letting the fibers soak up that ink. And when I lift this, I'll lift it very slowly so I don't get any spatter or anything like that. So I want to do the red there, and I also want to do Santa's hat. You have to scoop a little bit more ink here for that.
This would be perfect place to actually use a multi-tool because it has a small little squeegee on the end to get into little tight corners. I'm going to actually use the detail tool, which has even a smaller little squeegee for the fur. But if you don't have a multi-tool or a detail tool, you could always cut a squeegee into smaller pieces and use that. And it works fine. The other tools are just a little bit easier to handle.
I'm going to use my detail tool for the fur area with my teal. I think this will be kind of nice color combo. I want to make sure I don't have any. I'm going to take the lid off of this. Whoops. You know what? I did not stir up my teal, and it actually looks like it might be a little dry. Let me check it out. Oh yeah, it definitely is a little dry. Oops. Big mistake there. Let me add a little bit of distilled water to it. I know generally our inks you don't have to add water to, but believe me, it's been a long, long time since I've inked anything. So let me move that out of the way. I'm going to go with my meadow green for the rest of the wording. Finger check, make sure I don't have anything anywhere. I'm going to grab another squeegee. Make sure there's no air bubbles here. Everything's nice and flat. That looks good. And then I'm going to apply my meadow green paste. And the same thing, basically gently. I like to go in one direction. I don't know what I'm running into there. If there's something underneath the transfer, might be a little fuzz or something there. I didn't actually check it. Just want to be careful not to go up to where I'm planning on using the teal. Yep, Deb likes this transfer. She's previously used it on something, and I think it turned out really, really nice. If I were you, Deb, I'd probably put it on a t-shirt for myself too. Why not, right? Turn this slightly just to get this lettering here, or get the top of that H. And I'm going to go over it again very, very gently, making sure I've got everything covered here. Give it a chance for the ink to soak into the fibers of the fabric. And let me stir up my teal. I don't want to splash. I know I'm a little off camera here. I don't want to actually, this is kind of dry. I was really, I should have noticed this beforehand. I'm going to take it a little bit off camera just so that I could mix it up a little bit. I don't want it to splash and get any teal splashes on my shirt. And there's another part to this little project. I am going to use this transfer. I put a little water bath out here so I don't have to run to the sink. And I know it's a little small for my transfer, but I'll work with it. I am going to do this on something else other than a baby's onesie. And it's not an adult shirt either. I think I have a cute idea. Let me know what you think, but I'm not going to tell you what the surprise is yet. I had ordered something, I did receive it, and where I thought I had ordered solid colors, they're like a little pinstripe, so I'm not real happy with that. I'm just hoping that it'll look right on the pinstripe. You'll see very, very shortly. It's just, it would have been so much nicer if it was a nice, I thought it was a light green, and instead it's a little pinstripe. So we'll see how it turns out. If it doesn't turn out right or it doesn't fly, no harm, no foul. It wasn't really that expensive, so I'm willing to take the chance on it. Okay, I'm just really, really stirring this up, getting it nice and whippy and soft, and I know I've got some thicker ink around the edges that I will worry about coming back to later. So, finger check. I need to wash my fingers. Let me get a paper towel. I've got a little teal on my index finger. And I definitely don't want to get that on my shirt, so I'm going to moisten a paper towel and clean my fingers. Usually I keep baby wipes or something really handy so that I could clean my hands when I get something on them, paste or ink, whatever. Go over the naughty again. Okay, I could do that. Let me put this teal on, and then I'll do the naughty. Did I miss something? I know there's a couple of places that look like it was a little white, and I don't know if that's because there's something on the back of the transfer that I didn't notice. I didn't fuzz it because obviously I'm going on fabric. I don't need to fuzz, but I might have some fuzz or lint or something on it that I didn't realize was on the back of it. I took it straight out of the package, but you never really know. Let me move this around a little bit. I've got a lot on the bottom of this detail tool. Now see how this is lifting? If I was actually using my ink mat, because it's adhesive, I'll use it on the next project, but it would not be lifting like that. Because the shirt would be stuck to it. I might have gotten a little blending of red in there. Nope, I don't see it. Okay. Let me finish the fur at the bottom. This still seems a little thick, so I'm trying to be careful with it. And only get it where I want to. But this really is fun. The idea of you could, you know, well, I don't know. This is going to sound a little crazy, but you know, if you ever get a stain on a shirt and you like it and you don't want to toss it, think about what you could ink on top of it to hide it. Just a thought there. Have you ever ruined something or spilled something or gotten splattered and then been so bummed that it was on your favorite shirt? This might be a way of salvaging it. Okay, this is a little thick, but I think that's fine. I'm just going over it again, making sure I've got everything. I think that's good. So let me grab my squeegee and I'll go back over the naughty. Starting to dry on me though, I could tell. Oh, I see something there. I missed the top of a letter. Thanks, Deb. I couldn't find my meadow ink, my green at first, and I was tempted to mix up some of my own dyed in a yellow. You can blend colors just like you did with your paste. You can do the same with ink. So if you don't have the color you want or you need, you might be able to create the color that you want or need. Okay, what do we think? You've got everything covered there. Finger check again. See, I've got a little dab of green from something. Let me take that off. So what you just have to do is keep doing a finger check. Make sure you don't have anything smudged on your fingers, on your nails. Okay, I think I'm good. So I'm going to just gently lift this up. I like to pull from the side or from the top or the bottom. I don't like to pull on the corners. So I'm just trying to gain purchase here. And then I'm going to lift it up very slowly and kind of look at it as I go along. I just don't want to lift it quickly and splatter anything, because it could potentially splatter a teeny bit. And the little part of fur on the hat, it is distressed there, so it looks like I have a little bit of white fabric there, but that is actually how the transfer is made. So let me put that in my little water bath. I know it doesn't fit fully, and I have to be careful because it's on glass. I've got a little ink on me. Let me clean that up. How cute is this? Isn't it adorable? What a sweet little transfer. I'm going to set it aside. I'm going to leave the cardboard in it so that there's no chance of ink sinking through and actually hitting the back. And I'm going to set it aside to dry. Now, if you've got our little drying tool, you can use that to speed up drying. Generally, I just set it aside until it's dry, generally the next day, whatever. Drying depends basically on where you live and your humidity to a certain extent. So everybody's going to be a little bit different. But like I said, if you have that cooling tool, do not use a heat gun though. If you have that cooling tool, you can use that to dry it. And then once it's dried, you want to heat set it using an iron or a heat press, and put a piece of parchment paper over the top and iron it or heat press it, and then turn it inside out, and piece of parchment over the inside, the other opposite side of it, and heat it there too. So I'm using a little board eraser in here to get some of this ink off and clean it a little bit more quickly. I've got some deeply pigmented paste here, my ink and my red. I could use my fingers. I'm trying actually not to though too much, just because I'm trying not to get my fingers stained. And I'm just rubbing it gently with the ink, with the board eraser, to get most of the ink off of it. And then I'll finish cleaning it up on my mat. But I could do this at the sink. Just run it under a spray is great to use. It helps a lot, makes it a lot quicker than what I'm doing here. It's just so deeply pigmented. I wanted a little bath because doing this on the mat by itself is going to be kind of messy. Now I made sure that my back of this transfer, remember our transfers are adhesive backed, it's wet, otherwise it could potentially stick to my glass. So I'm going to take it out of there and continue the cleanup on my mat. Give this a little squeeze, get some of the water out of it. And then our deeper pigmented paste will sometimes stain your transfer. See how the red is staining it? The red staining it with blue, isn't that interesting? And the green is staining it too. The longer the ink stays on, the more it'll stain it, but it does not affect the usability, so it's not going to hurt it. I could use that transfer 8 to 12 times or more without any issue. As long as I get all the ink out of the silkscreen, just like I need to get all the paste out of the silkscreen when chalking, it'll be absolutely fine. So I'm just grabbing a disinfecting wipe. Ooh, this one's really juicy. Let me kind of squeeze some of that out and clean this up. Go over it. It lifted a little bit more of that ink, but I've got some staining, but big deal. It doesn't hurt it. No way hurts your transfer as long as you get it out of the silk screen. Now I'm going to do the other side. Make sure I get all of it off. And then even though I didn't fuzz this, I did have it on fabric. So in reality, there's probably some lint on it from the fabric. So once I get the ink out, I go over it in one direction, basically removing any of the lint. Now, ideally, I would lay this somewhere to dry, face up or sticky side up, but I need to use it again. So I'm going to do my little trick with my fuzzing towel. Our fuzzing cloth has two sides. One's terry that we fuzz on. The other side is microfiber. You could use the microfiber to speed dry your transfers. Sticky side up. I'm going to just fold it over, gently squeeze it, remove the excess water from it, and then lift it up. Now it's almost dry. It's actually already sticking, see? So I'm going to set it aside for a moment to dry a little bit more. Get my surface dried off, because then I'm going to do project number 2 with the same transfer. Anybody guess what I'm going to put this on? It's not an adult t-shirt. It's not a child's t-shirt. It's not a baby onesie. You could put it on a bib. Wouldn't it look cute on a bib? I mean, there's a lot of different things you could use it on. I am going to put it on a little bandana. And this little bandana is actually for a dog. So let me clear a little space. A little neckerchief for a dog. And this is our ink mat. It's sticky. I'm going to put it between my layers here of the bandana. I know I've got this kind of folded just for the space. And I'm going to just, press it down a little bit. Lift that up and get it a little bit smoother. I did not iron this. I know I should have. I really do not like ironing anything. It's a personality flaw. What could I say? I've got a little wrinkle in there. Let me lift it up, smooth it out. This is for a cute little dog that I thought it would look really sweet on. Now, my problem is, because it's pinstriped, I'm not quite sure what I want to do for the colors. I was thinking the green doesn't quite match. I could do it all the lettering in red. I could actually do the fur in the white. I'm just, what do you think? What should I go for here? Move this around a little bit, make sure that I've got it up so I'm on camera, but I don't want to make sure I don't hit any paste that I have. I'm sticking to it already. So this is good to go. I'm going to put it towards the bottom as close as I could pretty much get it. Let me lift that up. So what do you think? Isn't it a cute idea for a little bandana and a little fur buddy? Maybe all red and just red and white. I think that's what I'll go with. So let me cover up my green. Get this out of the way. And I don't need my teal. Okay. He had a hard time getting the lid back in there, right? So, red, white, clean my fingers. Should I do any green on it? What do you think? Or will it look funny because of the pinstripe green? I think I'm going to go with the red and the white. Okay. So, let's see. Everything's going to be red other than the white on the, or maybe I should do, I don't know what I should do. I keep changing my mind. Maybe I'll do white for the Dear Santa Define, and then the naughty and red. Okay, I think that's what I'm going to do.
Actually, the fun of it is you could decide on whatever colors you want, whatever ink colors appeal to you and you'd like to use on the project. So everyone's could actually look different. So I'm just smoothing it over, going over it a couple times, making sure that I'm waiting for the ink to be absorbed into the fabric. And then I go on to the next section. And look at me here, I've turned into a daredevil. Instead of using the multi-tool or the detail tool, I'm going right ahead and using my mini squeegee. But obviously I could cut the squeegee into pieces just to get into the smaller areas. But this is working out pretty well. Pretty simple all in all. Not much different from using chalk or ink. The main thing, ink needs to be heat set and you need to watch your fingers, make sure they're always clean. Now I'm going to go ahead and just apply the candy apple red in the same format.
If you are not a member of my VIP group and would like to be privy to additional tips, tricks, additional videos, the occasional game or two, comment VIP below and I will send you the link. We just had a scavenger hunt over the weekend, which was lots of fun. Everyone is welcome, no obligation whatsoever. It's obviously free. You just cannot be a chalk couture designer. Company policy prohibits that, so that's really the only restriction. I'd love to see you there.
So I'm just applying the candy apple red. I'm taking my time, being patient with the ink, letting it absorb into the fabric, and just going over it multiple times. No real pressure, just gently gliding the squeegee over the transfer with the ink. Give it a moment to absorb, and then I go on to the next area. Really easy.
If you think you might like to do what I do, or if you would just like to save money on supplies, if you're a crafter that would like to save money on chalk supplies, or a maker who likes to make and sell your creations and would like to save some money on materials there, or if you would actually like to teach people how to chalk like I do, comment team below and I will send you the link to a little video that tells you all about it. No obligation whatsoever. Okay, now I just need to do the hat, right? I'm going to turn this around a little bit. Forgot to check my fingers, but I think I'm okay there. I want to make sure I don't have anything on my mat anywhere or bump anything. Okay. This is a little bit close to the edge, so I'm trying to be careful. Now I could actually use our placement tape to cover so that I don't go off the edge onto the rest of my bandana, but I think I've got this covered. Just go over it a little bit more, let it soak in a little bit. finger check. I have a little bit of white. Let me clean my fingers. And then we'll lift this off and check it out. Okay. Now, if I missed a place or something looks a little amiss, if I don't lift this fully off, it's easier to just lay it back down in the same position, of course, and fix it. Ooh, I've got a little bit of bleeding here with my ink and the lettering. I have to kind of see how that looks. I don't know if I could fix any of that or not. We'll have to see. Let me get this in my water bath and get the back wet so it doesn't stick to my glass. I'm going to try and lift some of that paste off with the detail, the little pokey part of my tool. Most of it is actually right in the stripe, the white part of the stripe, so it's not really bad. And I missed a little part of the A there that I'm kind of trying to do right there. But you know what? Oh, and I missed my E. Dang, let's see if I could fix my E myself. I could put the transfer back on, but I think I could. It went through very, very lightly right here. And I think I could fix it myself without putting the transfer back on. Using this, oops, I grabbed a little bit. Using it as kind of like a pen. You know what? I think it'll be fine because my little fur buddy doesn't know how to read anyway. And truly, when it's on, there'll probably be folds there, so I think it'll be fine. So I'm going to set this aside to dry, and then I'll hit them both with the heat press when they're dry. Thank you so much for watching tonight. I surely do appreciate it. I think this is such a sweet transfer and can be used in so many places. I thought it was lots of fun. Thank you very much. I'll see you soon.